Welcome to the Choose Joy podcast. Come inside, take you on a ride and show you how to align. This is for my people who can hustle and grind. They put the bag on the line, overwhelmed inside. It's the Choose Joy podcast. Come inside. This is for my people who can hustle and grind. Love yourself, loving others. The storm is alive. Be patient with yourself, success won't pass you by. Hello and welcome to the Choose Joy podcast, where we look at loving ourselves, loving others, and then we multiply that by loving your obstacles and your enemies, right? And that leads us to, right, being joyful in our entrepreneurial journey. And today we have the wonderful, gorgeous, fabulous Dr. Siobhan France, honey, physical therapist, but also business mentor. Okay, getting y'all together to build and scale your online business. Thank you so much for being here.
Such an honor. And that intro, yes, thank you.
Our girls is popping. Okay, yes. We're not here for that, but just get into it.
Thank you so much. Such an honor to be asked. And just to be connected to you and all the greatness that you're doing, to be a part of it. I love it. Thank you so much.
Okay, so we're going to jump in. I kind of end up going deep fast, but it's worked out so far. So let's go there. Talking about intentionally choosing joy. Can you kind of share a time in your entrepreneurial journey where you had, the obstacle, the storm? How did you find joy amidst the difficulties? And what role did self-love play in this experience?
Well, snap. Snap. Actually, I'll be as candid as I can. Is that fine?
Go ahead.
The thing that actually came to me when you were asking that is the pivot that I made from the network marketing space into my own coaching business. And I have never publicly talked about this ever, but I've been in network marketing for, nine years. I absolutely adore and love the company that I am with. I will never leave them. But what I noticed is as I was building my business and it built a successful team, there came a point where I felt like I needed to do something on my own and not back a product anymore. And it became the thing that I loved was the coaching my team part, not necessarily promotion of the products part. And it was through the coaching of my team that I really got into coaching and business mentorship now. And the phrase that actually made me make this pivot and choose my joy was someone said to me, Siobhan, how you're building your business online is not duplicatable. And network marketing is all about creating a system within a team. Mm-hmm. And when someone told me I was not duplicatable, I said, well, I am who I am, right? Like, I don't know how else to teach who I am. That's not what I'm looking to do. I want to help other people build their teams. And it was in that moment that I just felt like I needed to branch out and fly a bit more and be in the coaching realm so that other people can build businesses that are unique to them and not be part of a system, but really learn how to make it adaptable for their personality and their strengths. And so not everybody is made to be on Facebook or be on Instagram. I mean, look, you've got a podcast, not saying you're not on Instagram or Facebook, but this is your platform, your medium now for helping others find their joy and choose joy, right? You're using your voice in this way. Some people, this is all that they do. And then they bring it to Instagram and Facebook, as opposed to having Instagram and Facebook be the place that they start. So it was for me stepping out and choosing my joy and saying, like, I know I've been building this team and doing this thing for the past few years, but it felt like the timing for me to choose myself was taking a step aside and entering into the coaching world.
I love that. And such a high level of self-awareness and then follow through on that. I'm learning all types of things I did not know this. I dabbled in the network marketing for a second and then kept it moving. But somebody said that to me that I had gave a suggestion and they're like, yeah, but it's not duplicatable.
Yes.
And it's so funny you just said that. I didn't even get deep into it, but that whole idea of like it needs to be able to rinse and repeat.
Yes. And I do believe, yes, if you are in network marketing, which is not the topic, but if you are in network marketing, there is a system to follow. But I feel like people get caught up in trying to make it look like everybody else's, and they try to conform themselves to do certain things because they think that's what is how it has to be done or how it's supposed to work. And so there was a level of just discovery that the coaching world has brought me to that I could not have gotten in network marketing. If I did not choose joy, if I did not choose myself, I would not have found this level of depth of discovery, which has led me to where I am now.
Beautiful. I love that. Listen, okay, along with like, okay, we've stepped out. You know, many can deal with the imposter syndrome. You know, so often, me included. Can you talk about a time where, hey, I had this imposter syndrome, you know, what strategies, what practices kind of helped you overcome those feelings and stay on like your path?
So it's interesting. I'm not going to sit here and say I've never felt like an imposter, but that really wasn't the dominant thing. My dominant pattern is this feeling of I'm not good enough.
Okay.
So it was more so on that end as opposed to feeling like an imposter. But the moments that I did was when I'm teaching around business concepts, but was still working my 9 to 5. But my business concepts that I was teaching actually had been things I had learned since 2014. So I've been in the online space in some capacity since 2014. And I made money 2 years after I graduated PT school. And I made more money than I was as a PT in my business. I launched a product on Amazon. I've got a book that I wrote. I was doing events, like I was doing things. And so that was bringing me income. So I had been in rooms and spaces with some of the best, names many people probably know. And I got myself into those rooms because I was ignorant on fire. Like I just was doing the things. I took out loans to get into these masterminds and essentially just being led, right? But not having a strong sense of self. And so I've had many coaches and many mentors along the way, and I pivoted my business. I landed in the network marketing space, built my team, hit a top 5% of the company. And so as I'm coaching and I'm teaching personal development and embodiment, it was around developing oneself to be an entrepreneur because I recognized the things I didn't have that I wish I knew. And I would have been able to leave my 9 to 5 a lot sooner had I known those things. So that's what I was teaching, but I was feeling like the imposter when I was like, well, I'm still working my 9 to 5. There is no way I could possibly help people in business. But I had made leaps and bounds other people had not yet. And so the one thing that really kept that at bay and kind of eliminated that for me basically was me knowing the fact that I'm consistently leading myself in my life and in my business. I am consistently leading myself. And so I'm not here to be perfect. I'm not here to say I've got it all together. I'm saying I have a piece of the puzzle that many of you don't have. And so if I'm leading myself and I'm out of integrity with how I'm leading myself, I know I can lead you to at least where I'm at. And so that for me always kept imposter syndrome basically at bay. And so then it kind of morphed into, well, maybe I'm not good enough, but it really wasn't like an imposter. It was maybe I'm not good enough. And I also think that we all have some sense of inadequacies, right, within ourselves. But the more I continue to stay out of integrity with myself and what I'm teaching and how I'm teaching it, even that has resolved, where I'm not trying to teach beyond where I'm at or teach things I haven't done. A lot of people are teaching things they haven't done. They want to know why it's not working for this person or you need to try harder. It's like, well, you don't even have the capacity to help them navigate that space because you've never done it. So when I have clients that want to find their voice with their messaging and the people that they want to help, I've gotten good at being able to identify platforms that are made for them, because I've understood what their strengths are, where their skills are. And I know, okay, you got to be on YouTube because that's your presence. You want to be on a podcast because that's your presence. You're good at being on video, so you might do YouTube and you might do video Instagram. So it's helping people position themselves that stay true to who they are to build their business. And that like unique sector has really become the thing that I'm good at. But I got good at it because I've dabbled in multiple spaces. There isn't a thing at this point that I haven't tried, right? And so I've tried it until it worked, and then I tried it until it didn't work. And when it didn't work, it wasn't that this doesn't work. It was my personality and my traits are not aligned with that. And so now that I'm working with my clients, I'm recognizing what their strengths are, not because I'm telling them, but because they're telling me, and I get to reflect that back to them. And I'm saying, here are some platforms. Here's where we can play. And so the way that I think that we talk to ourselves around imposter syndrome, not feeling good enough, it comes back to our leadership and our leadership of ourselves. And once we're leading ourselves and we are in integrity with how we're leading ourselves, I feel like those symptoms just start to vanish.
So good. I just was stuck at, I've consistently led myself. I was like, absolutely. Because I feel like online, and there's many people have offers and coaches, but are they consistently leading themselves? And that's so important. And so many gyms, I don't have anything else to add to that other than thank you for that. The wisdom. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Yes. How has kind of self-care evolved for you? Have you found, this is also a thing, there is no work-life balance. Some people say there's just season of work and then you have some seasons that are lighter. What's your take on the whole idea of self-care while you are, building your business? What do your practices, routines look like?
Yeah. So I'm not rigid in what I do, and I'm not rigid in how I do it. So I was on this whole trip maybe a year or two ago that self-care does not exist. It needs to be soul care, because we have get our nails done, get our feet done. We have spa days, but it's surface level. And I think that's great. We should completely do it. But I think the thing is we need to feed our soul. And with that, we need to start taking care of different parts of ourselves, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. And so self-care practice for me, yes. Do I go get my feet done? Absolutely. But do I also make sure that I take time to be in nature? That's really important to me. And my mornings are spent with myself 100% of the time. I make sure that I am filling my cup. And I know that sounds so cliche, fill your cup first, but it has become a business strategy for me. I don't necessarily just see it as, I got to take care of myself. I'm like, this is also a business strategy to pour into myself. And so my mornings are spent meditating, journaling, and listening to some kind of like frequency sounds or sound bath healing. And so it's not always 15 minutes of this, 10 minutes of this. It's just, I'm flowing in the morning. I'm always meditating, but maybe I don't journal in the morning. Maybe I journal at night. Maybe it's just the meditation and the sound bath healing. Maybe it's the meditation and I do some EFT tapping. So as long as I'm feeling taken care of emotionally to start my day, that's when I know I'm good. And some mornings I need 30 minutes. Sometimes it's like I need 45 minutes to an hour to really care for myself. And so once I've kind of primed myself, I've primed my body, I've primed my emotions, I've primed my state of being for the day, I'm like, today's the day, we're going to win today. Not because we're making sales, but because I started my day with my own leadership. And that's how I choose to run my business and run my life, is by my own leadership. And so that's what soul care looks like for me. And then on a nightly routine, it's somewhat of the same thing. I will unplug from social. Instagram now has the quiet mode, which I love because there's no alerts. I actually don't even have alerts on my phone for IG in general, but at night is just totally quiet, like nothing is happening. And so I've got that set. I don't have a TV in my room because I don't want TV in my room while I'm laying down going to sleep. So I've made, where I hang out at home versus where I sleep, those are separate places. And I'm pouring into myself at night where it's a reflection, not, oh man, today sucked, but like, what did I do good today? What could I have improved on today? What was the win today? And the one question I ask myself every day is, was I the person? Am I being the person? If you ever work with me, that I will always ask you that. Are you being the person? Because in order for us to believe that we can be entrepreneurs, we have to know that we're being the person. And I think that is where so many people have a discrepancy in themselves, and why they're not feeding their souls is because they are saying they want something but not taking the action. And so that is leading to a disconnect within themselves. So if we're really doing soul care, we're reflecting on the actions as well that we're taking or not taking, and then seeing how best we can match our actions to the standards that we have and the way that we want to live. So, I like to call my morning and evening, they're just themed. They're just theme based, as opposed to wake up at 5 a.m. Like some mornings, yes, I wake up at 4 to go to the gym for 4:30. Other mornings, I wake up at 8, and like, you're not going to see me get to the gym until 1, right? But the morning, regardless of what time I wake up, is always spent with myself.
I love that. And I want to just like go back to the fact that you said it's a business strategy. I love that you said that, because I feel like people don't think of it in that way, so oh my God, this is selfish, or I don't have time, or, you get to work, like, but your business, right? Unless you have an online business, and some of you people do, but even still, there are still things that need to be done. And if your mind is not clear, if you're not in flow, that impacts your business. So it's something to take seriously.
And even if you don't have a business, I truly believe that's just a life strategy. Like,
yes,
that is just a life strategy, period. We will be better, sisters, mothers, wives, aunts, uncles. We'll be better everythings if we're actually feeding the soul on that level. We won't be as reactive in our friendships or our relationships. We'll be able to communicate better. Things will be clear. We'll be able to say what we want. We'll have the boundaries, because we're not going to get pulled in multiple directions. We're going to hear ourselves first thing in the morning. So we always have an anchor. We have something to check into. I think that's really important.
Y'all never have anything else to say because you just, and what she said. Absolutely. Next question. You lay it out every time.
The truth is, you catch me on a roll. I get so passionate about this stuff because I feel like we have spent so much time doing for the other person and all the things. It's like, once you get to a place, you're living your life how you want to, you're really taking care of yourself, you're leading yourself. I'm like, more people need to do this. And if I could be the catalyst to helping other people find their way, choose their joy, and like believe in themselves bigger, faster, sooner, I want to be that person, because somebody was that person for me. And I'm consistently wanting to just pour back whatever has been poured into me.
Absolutely. And like you said, so many people, for whatever reason, they feel like maybe they don't have that power to do so. How we're saying how I went from working for myself to back into the clinic, and now like my time, I had to deal with my time not being my own, anymore. And how does it affect my self-care practices? And, I think it really is sitting down and looking at your time and your values and what you need, personally, so that you can be fed, right? And even within, hey, I'm married, or I'm dating, or I've got these kids, or, right? Like, we have to be intentional and sit down and figure it out, in some way, even if it's like you said, take that walk in nature, which is a cheat code. Like, what?
Totally. Like, don't underestimate the power of being connected to like the earth, being connected to just grounding ourselves, right? Like, go outside, put your feet on the ground, feel that level of connection. It's going to give you the energy. instead of viewing it as, oh, I got to go do that thing or it's going to take from me. It's like, it actually gives you energy, but you probably haven't done it long enough or even tried it out to even recognize that, because you're already viewing it as something that's going to take from you. Right. So it's like having a friend that you know is always taking and you're like, I don't want to deal with that. It's like, don't view it as that. View it as, I'm actually going to be in the presence of someone or something that's going to give to me also. Right. So viewing it as, look at what the world gives us. Right. It's beautiful. And if we can still stay connected to that, even though things feel tough within our lives, I think it helps to really center us and brings us back to a sense of purpose.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. How have you, okay, a step further, we talk about self-care. How have you balanced, right, the pursuit of success with this love and care of others, right? Family, friends, partners.
I've never been in any intimate relationship where that person did not support my vision.
Love that.
I've never been in that situation. I'm not saying I've been in great relationships. I'm just saying the vision of my business or my success was always supported. Other things were going on. So I can't speak to it on that level. Most of my connections on that intimate level anyways have been from a mindset perspective to start with. Right. And so there just was an understanding around, like, I'm building this business. Right. In terms of friendships, I would say that I don't want to say lost. They have just fallen off. Right. And I was not somebody anyways to quote unquote have a lot of friends to begin with. I've always been, I think what people have called me is a social butterfly. I can mix and mingle with a lot of people, but when it comes down to my solid friendships, they're really not that many. And the truth is, I'm really okay with that. And for a long time, I wasn't okay with that because I want to be liked. I want to have the circle. But the more I build in business, there's really just a disconnect between me and some people. And, my people pleasing wannabe tendencies want to come up when I talk about this, because there is no shame where anybody is. And some people choose the route of business and some don't, and it's perfectly fine. So this is not saying, I'm better than anybody, because I don't believe that at all. I've just chosen different things for my life. And when other people aren't choosing something for their life, doesn't have to be business, but they're consistently complaining or not making decisions for themselves that grow themselves, I just have a hard time staying in those kinds of friendships, because what do they say? Like, it's like a cancer, right? And I'm so protective of the things that I have built for myself, and I know how hard I've worked, that I can't risk being around somebody who might infect me with pulling me down, right? With those kinds of thoughts. And so I love on those people. I still have people that I might check on and things like that, but we might not be hanging out in the same capacity, or it might just be limited, or I just know certain topics I can't bring up. We might only be able to have certain conversations. And then even when it got to that point, I said, are these the kind of friendships that I want, where I can only talk about certain kinds of things? Right. And so that felt limiting. So that was another layer of like, of course I could totally be around them. Yes. But if I can only talk to you about this or this or this or this, now I'm feeling stifled. And that's not how I choose to feel. So, it's definitely been a process. And in terms of the business world, there's people that start with you at, somewhat of the same playing field, and one might grow faster or hit different milestones faster. And so even that has created some level of disconnect, right? Just because if somebody's not growing fast, it's like, oh my gosh, like, what are you doing? And now I'm worried that I'm making them feel bad. And it gets convoluted, but the one thing I can say is I've maintained a level of honesty and openness with my friendships. And if I can't have that kind of conversation, then it's probably not a friendship for me. And those are just some hard decisions to make. But the friends I do have, we're solid. We are super solid. I can be myself. We can talk about anything. And, there's no milestone in business that's too big or too small, or no one's like, oh, you haven't hit that yet. Like, it's not like that. because we understand what is under the hood of building this. And so as long as we're all helping each other and we're all boosting each other's spirits, I'm going to be your favorite hype person, you're going to be mine, right? As long as that's happening, I don't care where anybody is. It doesn't matter. But as long as you're getting yourself on the path and you're figuring it out and you're on your own journey, everybody has to trust that everybody has their own journey, right? And as long as we're consistently walking the path, you didn't stop, you didn't give up, you didn't let go, you're not there complaining, you're like, I'm just going to keep going. I respect that 1,001%.
Absolutely. And, just to add on, like you said, life in general, business and life, your thoughts can sometimes be like, it's even bigger issue. So when you've got your thoughts plus another external source coming with, it's like, all right,
it's too much.
And you have to have a real conversation. Like, hey, this is what my goal is. I'm hard enough on myself.
Yep.
I need you to just tone it down, right? Or set whatever boundary, it is. I've also kind of heard from other people, they're like, well, I have so-and-so friend and, they're upset because they haven't heard from me and da-da-da-da, and I feel bad. And I'm like, yeah, but the people who understand the mission you're on and I'll call you. Why didn't so-and-so call you? Or ask people all the time, don't feel bad. I understand we're all working work at your capacity. If you don't have that capacity in that season, for the friend that's down for is going to understand, or they go, I'm just checking on you. How you doing? Can you just send in a voice message? I'm making sure you good.
Yeah.
And there's so I'm like, don't let them people, those outside sources that may not be in alignment with you anymore make you feel bad, because it might not be for you anymore. And sometimes, and usually, God will bring in somebody new.
All the time. It's true. Or we needed to let that go or set that boundary for us to get to the next level, right? And so it's like, are we willing to choose ourselves? Are we willing to choose our joy so that we can get to the next level? And oftentimes it has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with what we're choosing for ourselves, how we're choosing to live. And if we know we want to live this way, then why are we choosing that way? Right? That's not in alignment. We're not choosing the joy that we said that we want to have for our lives. And I think, honestly, that's the basis of entrepreneurship. There's a joy truly in building what you're building. There's a joy in testing the process and figuring it out. Does this work for me? It might work for them, but is it going to work for me too? Is this in alignment with what I'm trying to do, how I want to generate leads or sales? Like, is this for me? I think we find the joy in that level of accomplishment to see it working and even to see it not working and then figure it out. Right? Like that to me is the joy. And so I recognize some friendships don't find joy in figuring things out. And that's just not for me. Like, I don't care where I'm at. I'm gonna figure it out.
That was a word. That's so true. Wow. Y'all, ain't she a gem? Okay.
Thanks, one.
Give it the word. We kind of talked about this, before we started recording, but entrepreneurship can be emotionally taxing. Ups and downs, sideways.
Wait again.
What has helped you navigate emotional ups and downs thus far?
You want the truth?
Yes.
Shoot, some days I'm like, am I?
That's real. That's real.
As it gets, we were literally just talking about this before you hit record. We were like, man, we might be crying on a Monday night and still show up on Tuesday and win, right? Like, I don't know if there's ever a way to truly navigate this. Yeah. Honestly, this process is truly unique to everyone. And I think what has helped me consistently is being grounded in faith within myself. It's a level of spirituality. It's a level of trust and belief in God, universe, whatever you believe in. But like believing in that higher power as guidance, and knowing that we are literally made in the image and likeness of God. And so therefore, the way that we lead our lives, the way that we take care of ourselves, it's all led. And so if we can ground ourselves in that kind of trust, then we can navigate this external world, right? And so it's really been keeping my internal world happy and keeping my internal world very grounded. I care for myself emotionally a shit ton. Can I say that on here?
Yes, you can. I had Jerry Durham and he was doing all the cussing, so.
Okay, like a whole fuck ton, okay? Like I care for myself emotionally a lot. And so I'm an empath. I'm also a very highly sensitive person. And so I come with a lot of emotions. And, you know, growing up, there was a lot of emotional self-abandonment and trying to like fit into all these spaces. And, you know, even being in the PT world, right? Working in predominantly white clinics, feeling a certain way. Like I've always felt like I had to mend and bend myself. And so being in entrepreneurship, you have to rise up when you're building a personal brand. The way to win is being authentic. And so for me to be authentic, I had to unlearn all these patterns that I had developed. And so my level of soul care, my level of treating myself emotionally on a daily basis has had to up level, even before I started deploying any kind of business strategy. So what it looks like for me to navigate, it looks like if I need to cry, I cry. If I need to call my friend and phone a friend, I do it. I'm being coached by 2 coaches right now, both for different reasons. If I need to reach out to one of them, I do it. I've gotten to the point where I've got no problem asking for help. Like if there's one thing that I've gotten out the way, I'm like, I'm stuck, help me. Like, what do you think about this? I'm feeling like this right now. Like, I'm just so willing to put myself out there, to ask for the help, to ask for the support, to ask a question. I think that has been a huge thing in helping me really navigate. But also recognizing that entrepreneurship makes us feel so much emotional discomfort that we likely would not have felt unless we go on this journey. And so it's teaching my body that this level of emotional discomfort is okay. It's safe. I won't die. Because sometimes it feels like we are going to die. But it has been these practices, and this is really what I do with my clients when they're afraid to go live, when they're afraid to post the content, when they're afraid to be polarizing, when they're afraid of trying out new lead gen strategies that play to their strengths. They're still afraid. It's like we work on expanding their exposure to emotional discomfort so that taking action starts to become more comfortable. And then they move. And then they do take the action. And then they're like, oh my gosh, that wasn't so bad. Right? Like we look back and we're like, that was so silly of me to think that way. Why was I thinking like that? You know, and so I remind myself of these times where I might have been stuck so much in fear, not wanting to say something because I didn't want to piss anybody else off in the industry. And it's like, why was I so afraid? Like I'm talking it now and it's completely fine. You know, it's like that level of fear or, you know, whatever it is you might be feeling can really take us over if we're not taking care of ourselves emotionally. And so we have to be able to have the resources to do that. Whatever tools you might need, whether it's meditation, EFT, it's some form of sound bath healing, it's coaches, mentors that you have access to reach out to, it's some kind of family support, it's whatever you might need. I have grounded myself in my support 1,001%. And honestly, it's the thing that keeps me going, the thing that has gotten me through. And even on the days where I'm like, man, this is hard, I can recognize it might feel hard, but it doesn't stop my action. It doesn't stop me showing up. It doesn't stop my conviction of what I feel for myself and in my business and my ability to help. So, you know, long convoluted answer, really just to say, I've cared so much about my emotional and mental health above my business, above making the sale, above the leads, above the forcing I've cared more about that more than anything else. And I believe That is the reason why I actually keep going. Even when it, quote unquote, looks like nothing is working, even when we're not getting the external validation, it's like, if I wasn't doing those things, I'd probably flop.
Okay. Yes, to all of this. Because I recently have had like these thoughts where I've been like, okay, maybe I'm not focused on doing things for the business, but I am dialed in on my spirituality. I am dialed in on the things that I need for my mental health. And almost like you were saying, it's a business strategy. Like how you like self-care is a business strategy. I always feel like it's a business strategy. Because it's even when those times I'm like, I'm not doing anything, or like I need to make content. But I'm reading my Bible, I'm meditating, and then the content will just come to me.
Yes.
And so I'm the type A. Okay, what's the plan? Da, da, da. So recently, within like the past month, I've been like, all right, let's just meditate. Let's not worry about this. And then it just comes, and I'm like, oh, so I need to be able to rinse and repeat and operate out of this space. This is cute over here.
Yes.
There's peace over here.
Yes.
You know? And like you said, like that spirituality and that faith. And then, you know, I was talking to Paul the other day. He said, how are you? I smiled, and then I said, I am tired. You have to run a business. I'm trying to take care of myself. I'm trying to eat healthy. I'm trying to work for somebody. Like you you are delusional if you think that you can do it on your own and pay somebody. Just go pay. Like the best thing that I never understood until I finally invested, paying someone to help you and guide you in whatever capacity that looks like is just the biggest cheat code to life.
Yeah, it is. I will say this only because it's so relevant. I went live in my Facebook group earlier today because something came to me, and I had a conversation with one of my friends this morning who said she knows what action she needs to take in her business, but she's not taking it. But she said, I just need to sit down and I need to like collect myself and I need to do this. And it was all the things other than taking the action. And I said, don't use spiritual and personal development to not take action. Right? Because it can be used in that way also, where we consistently think we need to go get grounded or we need to go do this thing when actually, no, we need to go take the action. We've been grounding. We've been doing the things. And so this comes down to discernment around when you need to ground for real or when you've grounded enough and now you're using it as an avoidance strategy to not do the action you know you're supposed to be taking. And I told her that this morning, and she was like, all right, bye. I was like, okay.
Shoot, that's why you're in my business. Got him.
Okay, bye. And I went live in my group this morning because I said your next lead in your business, your next sale in your business is going to come when you stop doing personal and spiritual development and take the action. And so I was on my way to the gym and I was like, I need to go live now, like before I go to the gym, because I might get distracted. And the message felt so hot, like in my body. I was like, it's time to just pop on live for a couple of minutes. And what's so funny is someone in my group said, I need that shirt, the shirt that I was wearing. And so I tagged the person whose shirt it was. And I said, somebody needs a shirt. Person made a sale today. And I like literally, I cracked up and I said, my whole point of going live was to prove that when we take the action, when the iron's hot, when we feel ready, when we're doing the thing, when we take the action, it leads to something. There's no expectation, but it does lead to something because that action, it leads to the next, right? And so it led to a sale, not for me, someone else, but it was so cool to watch that. I was like, oh, let me do it now before I actually go. And it was a split-minute decision to just pop on before I left to go. Because if I would have came back after the gym and did the live, I wouldn't have been wearing the shirt. I would have already showered and got myself done up, right? And so I said, how cool is that? Like, how cool is that? So yes, we need to be on this journey of connecting to ourselves, but make sure that we've got the discernment that we're not using it to avoid the thing we already know we're supposed to be doing.
A whole word. Also, let them use you. Come on, be a blessing. Got the sailing.
Yeah.
And more is coming your way. It might have been that one. Someone else got that blessing, but more is coming your way. Great point. To that, I didn't consider that.
My blessing was actually being able to see the very fact that I said that and like do it and do the thing I took action on, and to see it happen. That was my blessing. Yeah. Right? It's really part of what I teach. I'm like, start trusting yourself to go live now if that's what you want to do. Start trusting yourself to post the thing if that's what you want to do. Even if it doesn't make sense right now. It was an inopportune time to go live. But can we start trusting ourselves to take these actions? Sometimes we might think that choosing our joy means something bad for someone else, or someone's not going to have the thing, but it's like, if we actually chose our joy, we also allow other people to rise up in their power as well. And so I believe in being an advocate for other people choosing joy through the demonstration of me choosing joy, right? To kind of bring it back to the whole purpose of your podcast, which is how are we choosing our joy? When we do that, we empower others to choose theirs. And so it was cool to see all of that. So, you know, when we're not so, you know, muddied up in our own stuff and we just decide to take the action, knowing that we've really done the work, right? Knowing that we've really invested the time, we've really done the work. It's time to sit down and take our action. It's like, this is what I'm choosing to do. I've chosen joy. I'm taking the action, and I'm going to consistently repeat that.
Amen. Amen. Oh, okay. I want to backtrack because you brought up something, and it was my next question.
Uh-oh, tell me.
How have you maintained your sense of authenticity and purpose in your work? A similar experience to everything you just said and having to unlearn. So I would love to kind of hear what that looked like for you.
The truth is, I have a post maybe about 2 years ago now, I think, when I first started this in the coaching space. And it was like, if you need to delete, block, unfollow, unsubscribe, anything that makes you feel like you are less than, or you need to be somebody else, you shouldn't be following that person. And it wasn't because of anything about people that I unfollowed. It had everything to do with my own self and my own ability to be authentic, thinking that, you know, who am I to like be in this space, right? And I had to go silent in terms of unfollowing some people, because I was falling into the trap of comparison. And I said, if that's what I'm doing in this space with this person, I can't do that. So I unfollowed. I didn't block anybody, but I unfollowed, I muted their story, whatever I needed to do. And I honestly stopped reading books. I stopped reading books and I stopped listening to YouTube videos. I went an entire year of not listening to anyone and purely just generating my own thoughts. Obviously, yes, there were some people that I was following online, but no one that like triggered me in any kind of way. And I had to recognize that trigger was my own issue, right? It had nothing to do with them. That trigger was just my own self. And so, and being taught that, you know, blonde-haired, blue-eyed coaches grow faster in the industry. I'm not blonde-haired, blue eyes. Y'all can't see me right now, but I'm not blonde-haired, blue eyes, right? And so there was this level of self that I was like, well, who am I? Because being in a predominantly white industry in the healthcare space, I didn't wear my hair down because it might be deemed a certain way. I've had people make comments, like all these things, and I'm like, this is my business. This is my personal brand. And so I've actually had to practice levels of self-expression. After I shut it down from people that I was comparing myself to, it's like, I got to practice my own self-expression and start falling in love with the parts of me that I really do enjoy. And so it looked like loving on my curly hair. It looked like, she's snapping, yes. It looked like loving the way that I spoke, the way that I said words, the way that I mix proper talk with like some slang talk. Like it just, the ebbs and flows of me. That's just who I am. And so it looked like doing that consistently over time. When I went live, I would kind of prep some of my words, and then I'd be like, all right, I've got the framework. I'm gonna just say what comes to me. And like, that was my way of self-expression, because I noticed that if I kept trying to prep too much, then I was trying to make it look like something. And that really wasn't me. I'm a free flower. And so I allowed myself to free flow a lot more consistently. And I was able to do that because I started to hear myself. And I was like, man, my thoughts are good. Like, I had to start hyping myself up. And that's what I started doing, was hyping myself up. I'd go live and I'd watch my own live and I'd be like, yes, like I'm clapping to myself for the mere fact that I took the action, for the mere fact that I said what I wanted to say, how I wanted to say it. And so it was a process of falling in love with this part of myself, getting under the umbrella of, I'm a clinician and I've been a clinician for so many years, getting out of that facet of my life, no longer feeling shame to say, like, I don't want to treat patients in the clinic anymore, not because I don't love them, but because I need to be able to express myself on bigger levels. That's the reason why I wanted to be in business in the first place. So it didn't make any sense that I'm going to be in business and not be authentic. And so it was learning different parts of myself, different parts of how I can show up and show me. So it's definitely took something, but it started with shutting it down first. And then after shutting it down, getting clear to hear myself. And now some of those people that I've kind of unfollowed, I follow now. And it's great, because that let me know that I had some healing work to do within myself to be true to who I am, right? And then to be able to have a business in the way that I say that I'm building this and helping others, I had to do my own work. There's no way I can help my clients do this work if I hadn't done it. And so I was also committed to me doing it, so I could be out of integrity to help them do it as well.
The self-awareness and accountability is top tier.
Yeah.
Over there. Okay.
That I would say is something I've really cultivated over time, is my level of awareness. It's my level of awareness and my level of accountability. And if I need to pay for it, I will, right? If I need to pay for it to help improve my own accountability, I will. But I'm very self-motivated, very self-driven, but it stems from my own purpose. Mm-hmm. And so that's the thing that I really let shine now.
Absolutely. And I love, you brought up so many important things that I've also gone through. I'm sure others have, but like, you get put into the system, especially with healthcare, especially with physical therapy. And, oh my God, I go to this school and I'm supposed to be Dr. Williams. And how is that? I have to be this way. And then getting out and being like, nah, ain't nobody got time.
Nah. Yes.
Like, I'm from Tampa. I'm gonna say big. What? And all the things, right? Day. It's food day. And she was doing side steps and a mini squat. And I said, we go to the take it to the side. Now I drop it down low. And she had her form. She had her mini squat, but that's it. We go, ain't no mini squat. Drop it to kitty. Right? And not having to, I have to put that part of me away because now this is where I am. It's that luxury, right? Depending on where you work or what you do. But honey, the faster that you can tap into that authenticity, everything, that Siobhan just said, it's like, here, because again, how can you truly be joyful if you can't be you or have the space to discuss?
Yeah. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. And that's something that I felt like I held back in the clinic a lot. I have fun with my patients. I love to have a good time. I love to laugh and joke, but we gonna get some work done. But I love to bring myself into that space. And I've often felt like I was looked at funny. I've had people say things and make comments. And so I felt myself retreat a bit. But then when I started to really practice always being myself, even in the clinic, that's when I knew I'd hit a different level of like, okay, this is happening. Where I'm going in my life and in my business is happening because those comments I'm not fazed by those comments anymore. I'm still showing up as me, despite those things being said in the place that I work. I'm good.
Love. Okay. So you may have, I'm going to ask it anyways. I think you kind of touched on this in other questions. But what specifically, like what core principles or core values have guided you in, choosing joy loving yourself, and then impacting the lives of others? And what wisdom would you share with people that aspire to follow a similar path?
Ooh, I didn't know we was gonna get this deep. Wow, core value. I've never been asked that before. I feel stumped. That's not good. That's not for our listeners. It's not for your listeners right now for me to be stumped.
Edit it. Don't worry, it'll be smooth.
Core value, I would say, gosh, I have so many things running through my head right now that have grounded me. And I think the thing that hits home for me goes back to like the little girl who believed she could. And so I think the actual value in that is honoring the parts of you growing up that thought you were always going to have a certain kind of life. And for me, I'd always dreamed and believed I would do something big and I would do something impactful and I was really going to help the world. And I thought I found that in physical therapy when I chose this career. And so I followed that path to only realize this wasn't it. This wasn't the bigger thing I thought I had dreamed of. And so the value I live by is by honoring the little girl that believed she could do something big, which means that I got to the end of the PT road and I was like, oh, this ain't it. And it's okay. It's not it. What else is it? And then being on the path of discovery to make that happen. So I think the value there, the tangible value, is actually honoring the kind of life that you want or the kind of life that you always thought you were going to build, because we end up in careers, relationships even, that don't give us the thing that we thought it was going to give us. And so we stop honoring what we thought we could have. And so we have to be able to make that pivot. So that is the value principle, is honor. Self, like honoring of self is how I would probably classify that, is honoring of self. For me, it's the little girl that always believed she could. For you, it could be anything, right? Maybe it was the time in high school, right? When something pivoted and you thought you were going to do this, but someone said, no, you should go this route. And you went that route and you didn't honor what you thought you wanted to do. And so maybe it's getting back to that. For me, I remember thinking like, I'm going to do something real big. And I didn't know what that big was. I just felt big. And I didn't find big within the PT field. I was satisfied on many levels, but it did not touch the core of what I always thought I could be. And business allows that for me. So this value that I want you all to take away is truly honoring yourself and honoring the life that you want to have, and letting yourself know you can have it. Even if you are on the path right now and you're like, this ain't it. The fact that this ain't it, good. Now you know it ain't it. Let's go get it, whatever it is for you. And being able to honor that and see it through and know that you're actually going to find the joy by honoring that path.
Now y'all can pass the collection plate. And there it is. Oh, please govern yourselves accordingly for Deaconess. What? Absolutely. Wow. I'm still processing that, to be honest. I don't have any follow because you just said a whole word. And I need y'all to also go back and rewind and listen and take note of, are you, right, honoring yourself? But
I feel that. Like, I feel that message in my soul. My soul. And so I really do hope that you all get back to that joy, right? And you get there by actually choosing the thing you want to do. And I know it feels challenging and it feels hard. I know that. But the truth is, your joy is housed there. Your joy is housed in that process of you choosing. And if you can keep that in mind, you'll find that it.
You're really walking in your gift. That's what for me. Man, she's in her gift.
Thank you. That
like,
really does mean a lot.
Wow. Just this entire conversation.
It felt very healing here. Yeah. Thank you.
I feel like I need a session with you. I said, why does she know my life? Number one, every detail, every experience.
Walked it. Walked it.
Jeez. Oh, man. Ooh, okay. My last question for you. What have you seen, right, as you've been coaching, other entrepreneurs, other aspiring entrepreneurs? What common challenges or obstacles have you observed? And what support or resources do you believe are the most beneficial for them?
The biggest thing is self-trust.
Really?
It's really the biggest thing, because when you come from higher level degrees and you're in these corporate jobs and you're doing these things, for you to step into entrepreneurship, you have to trust yourself, not the system. And people have not been accustomed to trusting themselves. School is going to guide you. School is going to give me the degree. School, like, there was, yes, we might have had to study, sure, but we knew we study, that outcome is that degree. That degree gives us the job. That job is going to give us the paycheck every week or every 2 weeks, whether we feel worthy, whether we feel confident, whether we feel deserving, whether we feel like an imposter. It doesn't matter. You could show up to work and not feel great, not be your best self. You could show up to work in any way, shape, or form, do a half-assed job, and you're still going to get paid.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship doesn't work like that. You have to own the parts of you that you don't have to own at a job. And so self-trust is you understanding that you're stepping into entrepreneurship to build something of joy for yourself. There are challenges, yes, but being able to be committed to the process of trusting yourself deeper is going to yield you the results. You're going to pick the right coaches for you. You're going to know when this is the coach I need to work with, or this is a good investment. You're going to know when you're supposed to take this action or that action. You're going to know what best strategies bring you the leads. You're going to know what best strategy makes you the sales, because it's not using a sales script. It's using a script that people have, but it's understanding the principles of the business, understanding the principles of lead generation, writing copy, messaging, all of that. It's understanding that, but then trusting yourself to choose the thing that is good for you. And so with number of ways to generate leads and platforms and, all these different ways, you have to be able to trust yourself to know this strategy just doesn't feel good for me. I'm not avoiding it. It just doesn't really play to my strengths. And knowing that you get to trust the next thing. It's you trusting that it's time for you to go live to talk about the message you've been wanting to talk about. You may have never gone live before, but you're like, I'm going to go live now because I trust that this message is coming through and now is the time. You're going to trust that this is the right business partnership to enter into. You're going to trust if being on a podcast, you're going to say yes to because you like the podcast host, right? You might be on a podcast where it's like, I'm not really aligned with this person, but maybe it gives me exposure. That's not self-trust. So self-trust is at the foundation of building a successful and sustainable business, because you, at the end of the day, you lay down to sleep. You don't lay down with the coaches and be like, all right, well, hold me at night because it didn't work out today. No, like, you lay down with yourself every day. So stay in your self-trust. So resources, I teach a grading system, like a self-trust grading scale, where we really start to take different actions in our business in a graded way, so our nervous system doesn't completely freak out. And this is different for everyone. I've got people that are just getting started. I got a girl who just made her first Instagram handle, and I have somebody who's scaled to a 10K month. The difference is we have graded their nervous system to start taking action within a certain center of their comfort zone. And then we take action at the perimeter of their comfort zone. And then we take the action that's right outside of their comfort zone, and we keep broadening that. The reason for taking the action within the comfort zone is to gain momentum. Even if it's easy, I want it to be easy. I want it to be a no-brainer. Make it easy, gain the momentum, keep expanding. And so a resource is Find the actions that feel comfortable. Get in the rhythm of taking the actions that feel comfortable. The rhythm of taking actions that feel easy. The problem is people stop taking action because they're like, well, I know I could do it. It's easy. Okay, but you don't have the rhythm of taking action consistently. You could do it. There's no problem. You don't mind showing up on social. You don't mind doing the thing, but you're not doing that thing consistently enough to put you in any kind of momentum. So get in the rhythm of doing the easy so that you can actually have a rhythm of doing the hard. People try to just be like, well, I know I could do this. So they're waiting to try to do the hard. I'm like, no, you need rhythm with your easy. Then you can step into your hard, and the hard won't feel so hard because you've got rhythm, you've got momentum. So the foundation is self-trust. The resource is taking comfortable action to build momentum and then take bigger leaps.
Wow. That's genius.
Thank you. I gave that to y'all for free.
I didn't know that was a thing being done, because I'm thinking about like the times where this action, I'm not taking this action because it's too far in my comfort zone. But the idea of having this, where can people find you? All the things.
You can find me on the gram. You can find me on the gram at Dr. Siobhan France. It's SIOB as in boy, HAN. Last name France, like the country. You could also go to my website, which is drsiobhanfrance.com. You could also find me on Facebook at the same name.
Yes, and I will link all those things below somewhere.
Thank you so much for taking the time and speaking with me. I'm so grateful. You are a gem and a treat. And every time I speak with you often, every time I speak with you, I am filled. I'm like, geez.
Thank you.
Geez. Oh man. Why? Wisdom, discern, all of the things. Like you can just tell that all of the things that you talk about, self-awareness, discernment, kind of like you practice what you preach. You have documented it and very secure in it, and like just determined to help others reach the same. And it's like all authentic and so genuine. And it's so inspiring.
I appreciate you. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to have this conversation, which felt so healing. So I hope you all are feeling the same way. But I love what you're doing. I really do, because this is a conversation that people need to have within themselves. It's that choosing joy. So you are the most perfect person to bring this to the space. And I'm honored that I've been asked to be here. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see how more people are going to be able to choose joy after tuning into your shows.
Well, thank you. Thank you. And I want my listeners, we appreciate you for tuning in, and we will see you next episode.